Hey, welcome to the show. Try not to fall asleep, guys. Oh, brother, here he goes again with this stuff. August 8th. All right. Take a few minutes. What did you guys do today? All right. Let's get straight.
Use this time to hone your skills. You'll certainly need it.
Nice. Very good. Infinity, guys. Back. I see the whole time. But the rest of you, nothing. Just exist. I get it. I mean, I don't get it, but at the same time, I do. Just to say I don't. If you're wondering why my browser looks like it's an application, it's not. There's a cool thing you can do if you use Chrome. You can download it as a cut, and it stays as an app. Dock it in taskbar. Be useful to take notes on the information today. Absolutely. Kidding me? Today we're just laying a foundation, a framework. I'm gonna work some of the tools here so that you guys can. But yeah, I would like for you to be able to enjoy what you're hearing and staying attentive. But the truth is, if I ever spend a time, any time streaming and you don't get something that you can realize, like if there's not something to write down, then I'm not spending my time wisely. So we'll start these notes over just because I'm going to discuss a lot of this stuff anyway. So don't worry about that. What's up? We've got some folks in here. Hope you guys are doing well. we're gonna jump right into it. Now, actually, let's not use this version. Let's use. You can see when I'm in test mode or like edit mode, basically, I have way more stuff here that I just don't have access to yet. But all right, cool. So for those that are not familiar or acquainted with how to utilize it, I'm sure you can figure out. But have see in the chat section over here, right, from uh, my site. As you know, I'm building the greatest trading tool ever created. But you'll get to see us or see me use that. Since you can't type in the chat over here on the side, you can, however, message me or mention me on Twitter, and I'll respond there. Okay. So let's get started. The reason that I wanted to do something like this is because I get questioned all the time, which is, um, well, I did a poll on Twitter, but I asked you guys where or what I should say do you think going to be the most beneficial thing for you? I want to contribute to this community in some way. There was a time where I was very active on Twitter. Eventually, uh, I didn't like Twitter anymore, and it's not Twitter now, so I'm officially going to go back. But the biggest question, and it's not just beginners, it's every trader that I've ever had a long discussion with. It is all about navigation, and let's just make that one of our notes. Note taking application will be a standalone app that you guys point, but it's also built into TradeOS. Now, first, let's do it. Let's get a check. Can you guys all hear me? Fine. Should be fine. For some of you, might notice I sound a little bit different. Not the Cartier. Cool. It's because I uh, remember I had my brother send me stuff from uh, South Carolina. Well, yeah, there were some additional things I left, and right now I'm using the setup that I had all last year with some upgraded things. But yeah, I had to break these back out. Cool. Yeah. So it's not mic clipping. It's thank you for telling me though. It's gating. So the mic is gating. Thanks. Let's crack open Rode real quick, and I'll turn the gating down. Gate stops. You know when I told you I have this vendetta or this battle going on with the guy, the blonde guy? Yeah, that's what this is for. It's to stop him from showing up in the audio or coming up in the audio at all. When he's, it doesn't matter how much noise he's making. If he's not hitting a certain decibel, he won't end up in the audio. Let's, and let's turn this one on. And how about we bring the gate way up? All right, so and this will bring me back in. How about now? That should end all of the. If I was cutting out for you before, that should end. But if it happens again, just let me know. Yay! Audio engineer, guys. Sometimes I talk and I'm like, damn, I do a lot of shit. All right. So, um, back to what I was saying. And thanks for the heads up. I appreciate it. The 7 evil landscapers, dude. Come on. Navigation as a trader. I'm not going to tell you the all the basic stuff that you probably have already heard before and will continue to hear. Okay, from various sources. I'm here to give you something that you're not going to hear anywhere else. If you follow me, you already know I'm considered to be a little bit out there, I guess, compared to some others. What I mean by out there is, you know, I don't make excuses for myself. I typically am pretty no nonsense, but I do like to, have fun. I'm saying this because I think everyone should get rid of whatever they have in their mind as an ideal trader, right? You're here because you want to make money. Sure, that's a given. We all know that. You're also here because there are some challenges that are in front of you, or, you and I have worked together or spoken at some point, and, you're open to listening to what I have to say. For those who are trying to start over, here's two things that you're going to run into. Number one, I can tell you right now, when you try to reset, the question is, what about all the work I've put in already? It will come in handy. But like I told someone else this morning, there's not a single thing that I can recall from 2013, 2014 that's helpful to me now as a trader. Not one. The only thing I learned from the earlier years of trading was, hey, don't do that stupid shit again. More than anything else, just experience. I'm sure most of us can get that out of the way. So don't be afraid to start over for the fact that you need to have some foundation to build on. I'm saying that because we're talking navigation and foundation. The two key elements to trading. To starting over, yes, but we're not talking about just starting over. We're also talking about how you navigate from where you are from, because not everybody needs to quote unquote start at the beginning. I've said in the past that one of the most important things is to be able to reset. And you may have seen that video. I posted it once before, but as you also probably already know, that's going to begin with actually, we don't need to hashtag this, but let's do it anyway. You might tell me what the word is that reset, like what does reset begin with? And if you say R, I'm going to kick you out of this off the site. A trade reset. There's the most important concept out of all of this. Anybody remember? That's a good answer, Daniel. And actually, maybe I should I should phrase the question a little differently. But you're correct. But I'm more so thinking and it's not. It doesn't start with the letter R. Actually, I'm thinking forgiveness. I'm thinking the whole principle, the whole concept. You guys are correct in the word that I chose to identify with it, but I'm also speaking just in terms of what do you have to do to achieve those things, right? You have to forgive yourself. Sounds hella dramatic for trading, but when you start thinking about how much money people have actually lost and what has driven them to, and what they could have done with that money, I think it's safe to say that there is some self forgiveness needed from for most people, right? We're going to talk about why that's important. And actually, here's something that's cool. So, since we're talking about this, I can actually go ahead and we'll keep that there, but I'm going to make this a um, forgiveness of self. And what we can do is we can either link it to a page, but since we don't already have a page here, we'll just create one. Forgiveness of self, and let's do it. Then we go here, bam. So the reason I'm describing this way is because it is paramount. Here's some things that it allows you to do. Number one, you need freedom to fail. Some people still have not figured this out. It is the most important part of trading. It's the most important part of any. I say gratitude. Gratitude kind of goes with this, right? Because most people are not going to give themselves enough grace to continue doing something with a clear mind in any capacity, right? Most people, they're going to approach this stuff and say, oh man, I'm not doing that because I had such a bad experience. Or, when it's time for them to study, they'll say, oh, why am I doing this? Or I'm wasting my time. I got other things. I got bills piling up. I got responsibilities piling up. I got this going on. I got that. We all do. Newsflash. We're not all 17 pretending, with the car our dad rented for us, you know, trying to give people advice. Holy crap. That kid on Twitter or that kid on X. He's on X, all right. So that's paramount. Having that freedom to fail is going to start with self forgiveness. The reason we need that is because you're moving into bold territory, right? You're looking to accomplish something that I'm not going to lie to you is the easiest money I've ever made, ever. Like trading is not does not come natural to me, but it's not difficult. And I guess that's to say, I made it so that it became easy to me. Now, it doesn't mean I snap my fingers and I win every trade. No, it's there's other ways to do this. Trust me. Uh, the reason I'm saying this to you is because I want you to establish right now in your mind. This goes back to the foundation part of things. Everything I'm telling you is just a fact, right? You already, if you follow me, you know me. You know that I'm not gonna bullshit you. So um, when it comes down to it, these are foundational principles that have served me well, and I've thought about this for a long time. This is one of the reasons I had such a tough time teaching beginners early on because I didn't know what I could possibly say to someone when it comes to information. I'm thinking, oh, I don't remember that stuff. So what I had to do was teach a group of beginners, which I started doing actually at the beginning of this year, and it went very well. But it caused me to think a lot about what could change in my approach. I think most traders, there's not enough of that. There's not enough traders who, or teachers or whoever, that think that there are other ways to do things or that they are not teaching or communicating in a way that is effective. What they're doing instead, most of the time, is inflating their ego, and their way is the only way. And, they want you to know how good of a trader they are. That's not what this is about. But back to the point, giving yourself the freedom to fail is a major thing. As a matter of fact, we should probably, uh, we'll put this here. We know that it's something we can talk about in depth later. So I'll add it. It'll be its own page. But then what's the second thing? When we go back to, I guess we'll say our list of steps or our pillars here. If it begins with the forgiveness of the self, some people would say the acceptance of the circumstances would be next. Or even if you shuffled them around, the acceptance of the circumstances. So that's what we're going to put down. Oh, it doesn't have to. The reason the acceptance of the circumstances is crucial is because trading is all about honesty, pure, unbridled honesty. This is the reason why successful traders are assholes. I promise you, anyone who is good at trading is not going to be good at bullshit you. You need to understand that. There's a fundamental part of the brain that has been worn down consistently. There is a part of the brain that has constantly been told that it has to shut up. That part is the filter. that filter is what makes things. That's where the cordiality comes from, right? That's where there's nothing wrong with being polite and flipping the switch, but that's where that blunt honesty comes from. I want you to think about anyone who's a really good trader. You probably don't know many. There's not many that comes to mind anyway, right? But you find them off in the corners, the shadows of Fintwit sometimes, and they have a picture of their dog, and they're not trying to teach you anything. In fact, they seem like a little bit of a jerk. That's why. Among other things, this is very crucial to understand. The acceptance of the circumstances means there's a certain level of honesty that you got to have. And it's not just about saying it, because who cares if you say it? It's about that honesty with yourself. I promise you, if you have that honesty with yourself, there's a lot of things that you'll stop doing right away. This is why you will never, I won't say never, but this is why you rarely hear me say anything about mental discipline. I do believe in toughness, but when it comes to, you can ask the people that are, in a part of my site or, in the groups, they'll tell you, you won't hardly ever hear me say anything about how tough something was meant. Like, first of all, none of you have ever heard me say anything was too difficult. You've never heard me say anything couldn't be done, or I can't do something, or make excuses, or mope around, or I'm having a bad day today, guys. You don't hear that. And I'm not saying that you need to be like me, but I've accepted the circumstances. I know that if I don't go out there and do what I need to do, shit doesn't get done. That's a fact. Okay. And I'm sure you know that in the things that you do in your life. So when it comes to trading, you have to apply the same thing. And I'm willing to bet that if you're not seeing the results you want and you've been doing this for a while, it's because there's a disconnect. It's not because you don't understand something. It's because you haven't accepted that there are things that you need to do in order to succeed. You know what those things are. We're going to cover some of them. But if you don't do this, you might as well leave. You're wasting your time. So acceptance of the circumstances. Now, that reality allows you to stop from being blindsided. The number one thing that takes the traders out, or takes most traders out, is the fact that they treat it like it's a hobby. Now, you don't have to dedicate all your time to it, but the less time you dedicate to it right now, understand the longer it's going to take you to become proficient at it. All things being equal, let's say we're all of equal intelligence. There is no one big trade that you're going to hit and get out, right? This isn't a heist. This isn't Ocean's 11, right? Like you're not waiting to hit the big trade, the big one, and then retire. Like the OTC days, it's done. You had your shot, and maybe you get another one, but I wouldn't bank on it. Okay, so we can throw that out the window. And let me tell you something else. It's not going to come from taking one small trade at a time and take what the market gives me and all this other stuff that they've brainwashed you with in these books, because those people are not traders. They're not today's traders either. So this is why you don't see me recommend books anymore. I recommended them when people didn't know anything about the market. When people were brand new, I said, "Hey, here's a great opportunity for you to, get familiar with what's out there." And I don't have, at the time, I didn't have the teaching experience with new traders to really feel like I could offer them anything uh, valid. Not at that time. As crazy as everything was, I wasn't going to sit down and do that. So that's the next thing. And I'm telling you this because again, our whole plan here today, and let's actually just go ahead and put this on. We can put this on the board now. Uh, the whole purpose of today is we need to start identifying not just what our plan is, but what the hell is possible and what is it going to take. I think that's the question that's being asked. Right. So we don't even need a note. We can just put it down here. Yeah, what's that? One thing about programming is that it will screw up your ability to type words quickly sometimes because I've gotten to a point now where I'll start to type something and then I'm in a habit of scripting code a certain way. So I'll think about it for a second. I'm like, wait, no, that's not what I need to click. All right. Now you're going to see this all come together. I'm showing you the way that I'm teaching this lesson, for instance, it's going to make sense a little bit later. When it comes to how I teach or what I'm doing, at a time, at a certain point, there were people who would say, "You have an unorthodox style of teaching," as if they knew shit about learning to trade. But anyway, I teach the way the mind works, which is in fragments. I will teach a topic based on a fragment of of an idea, and then I will come back to it and attach the two things. This brings me to one of the most important points here, which is your note taking needs to change. We're going to go over these things, and then we're going to talk about some actual market stuff. Now, maybe I should have numbered these, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, we'll do it anyway. Forgiveness of self, acceptance of circumstances. What do you guys think is next? Or what would you put next? I'm out of curiosity. One of these could fall under acceptance of circumstances, as far as I'm concerned. Acceptance of circumstances, though, doesn't quite do it. So we're going to list it separately anyway, right? To me, it would be capability. Actually, this doesn't mean that you got to say you have to be a good trader right now. What it is saying is just like we have to accept the circumstances around us, and I don't think we need to elaborate on what those things are. We need to know what we can actually do. I promise most people, like if you stop and think about it, when is the last time you actually thought about what, how you would rank as a trader? See, we have gotten, most people are so coddled right now by this idea that wins only is the goal and the norm, and you can't take losses. You can't talk about losses. You can't even think of yourself in that way. The only time you think of yourself in that way is when a trade goes against you, and you're like, "Ah, I'm such an idiot," right? But you won't say it out loud, or you won't go to other people, and I'm not saying you have to. What I'm saying is, those are pity parties. They are pity parties. They need to stop. The self-deprecating exclamations that most traders make are really about, it's like, if you bump into the counter, right, and you cut your arm, you're like, oh shit, right. That's your reaction. It's an expression. It's a way of getting something out, but it is not a solution. Beating yourself up is also not a solution. Feeling like you deserve some kind of punishment here, that is actually a coward's way out. Again, we can eliminate this by going back to the forgiveness of self. But forgiveness of self also means accountability. Because once you are no longer at this point where you say to yourself, hey, I'm so bad at this. I'm so terrible at trade. I just make so many mistakes, right? Those are excuses. And I know people who once sat and told me, and I'm not saying that they weren't at the time, but they said, SP, I'm so committed. I'm so grateful to have you teach me. They're cool people, but the way they bowed out of trading is disgraceful, and they should be ashamed of themselves. And I have no problem with someone making choices and decisions for themselves. You should. But when it's based on the fact that you can't do something, or it's, you make so many mistakes or whatever, and you're just so terrible at it and you'll never be good at it, listen, buddy, you could have saved yourself time by just saying, hey, I don't want to do this. And that's what it comes down to. Most people just don't want to do it. All I'm trying to do is save you time in this journey right now, because if you can't accept these things or this sounds like you might want to do some soul searching. Trading is not difficult. There may be a lot of moving pieces, and I'm going to help with the framework and what to do on a step by step basis. But most of this stuff, I feel like you could have pieced together in some way on your own, or some of it you will have already heard before. Not necessarily from other people, but I've said some of this stuff before. So that takes us to this next piece. Capability. What is my capability for the foreseeable future? Do you have the time to do so? Will you use that time to do so? Will you use that time even if things get pretty difficult? Will you use that time if you don't feel like it? Come on. I can't answer that question for you. You can't even answer that question for you. I know right now you're feeling like, this guy is making some points. You might also feel like, damn, I need to get my shit together. And that's awesome. That's great. But how are you going to feel when nobody's over your shoulder or when I'm not on stream? I'm telling you this right now, even though I know you know it, but it's the truth. You have to understand there's going to come a time where you're not going to feel like doing whatever's necessary. It doesn't matter. I'm not talking about just studying. We're past that. Okay. I'm not talking to a group of children. So you know that I'm not just telling you, hey guys, you need to work hard, right? That's not what this is. This is me saying to you, hey, I've been trading long enough to be pretty damn good at it. And there are still times where it's not a matter of energy. It's not a matter of, there are days where I simply don't want to be involved, period. But I want to make money. Do you know where this is going? There are going to be days where I want to take a trade, but not do everything that I know I can do to ensure that I win. And let me tell you, if I'm still doing that at after 13 years, and yes, I can get away with it, but if I'm still doing that, I know you are. What I'm telling you is that you can't afford to do that. Is that me being a hypocrite? No. It's me saying to you straight up that I know that I take on additional risk. And guess what? 80% of the time, those kinds of risks still work out for me. But I have a toolbox of skills that I've acquired over a very long career. Anyway, you knew where that was going. So on your side, you have to say, well, maybe I'm not quite capable of doing that. And that means that I have to take all information in as if I'm not going to compare myself to any great whatever, but let's say a professional athlete giving, advice to someone else. Well, maybe you're not quite capable of pulling that off right now. Okay. So just because you see it done or someone says that it's what they do, you need to decide, is that for me? So let's start using that, right? Is that for me? I think that's paramount. The better we get at being honest with ourselves, forgiving ourselves enough to say, hey, I don't hate me. I don't hate you, man in the mirror, but that was a horrible decision. Let's not do that again. Right? See, when you remove the emotion from that, it becomes less of a feeling sorry for yourself and more of a, hey, you did that because you wanted to. And so you deserve what you had coming to you. It doesn't mean you have to keep doing that. But to me, this is the most fundamental lesson that traders need to make. It is always someone else's fault, and it is tiring. There's a reason, like I said, I hadn't gone on Twitter in such a long time, or I'm rarely there. Excuses, excuses, excuses. It's not about winning the trades. It's about saying, damn, that didn't work out for me. Okay, there you go. All that other stuff is unnecessary. You're going to spend your life complaining about something that you have no control over. Yet the thing that you do have or should have control over, yourself, you don't use. It's nonsense, right? So on to the next thing. outside of um, forgiving yourself and accepting the circumstances and knowing what you're capable of, let's talk about. Um, Funny enough, we did kind of mention this. Let's talk about absolutes versus, actually, we'll just say absolutes in general, because we only really need to focus on that part. There are no absolutes in trading. The reason I'm telling you this right now, simply for the fact that this is something that also stops a lot of people. You might be wondering what I'm talking about. I'll give you an example. When someone comes to me with a question and they say, "Hey, SP, when you saw this this move here at around whatever, at four whatever, this pattern here would indicate yada yada yada, but this also would say, XYZ, right?" And then they go down another rabbit hole. You're going to spend your time running around in circles when it comes to just analysis, reasoning, things that happen in the market. You need to learn to say, there's other views and perspectives on this. No one has the objective truth. Everything is about what you see and experience at that time. If you learn to let go of that compulsive need to understand, you will fare far better than you have up to this point. You need to learn to be okay saying, damn, I don't know what the hell's going on, but I know how to make that situation work for me. Being a good trader or a profitable trader, whatever, being a profitable trader is not even about being good, because good is a standard by which we haven't really established. There is no universal good. If we were to agree on good trader, and let's say the criteria were you have to have a winning record. Hey, I know a ton of people who have winning trades, yet they couldn't tell you a damn thing about anything. They just have solid, we're going to say, gambling capabilities, and it translated to being able to make money. Is that a good trader? I mean, that's a rhetorical question. It doesn't matter. So let's focus less on the good part and focus more on the fact that every situation presents many angles. We don't need to spend time on getting to the bottom of it, because you never will. Let me ask you this. Here's a test exercise. I want to know from you guys right now, what color is water? We've all had water before, right? You've had water. I've had water. We've all had water. We should know what color water is, don't you think? Some people say clear, okay, transparent, blue, not blue. Well, I forgot to mention to you guys that in my water, I actually poured one of those drink packets in it. So actually, you're wrong. The color is whatever is soluble within it. So, yep, it can be different colors. Yes. But do you see how I could literally just wait until you say it doesn't matter what it is? I can pick anything I want and show you something else. You need to understand the market is full of that kind of trickery. Not just because people are not walking around just to trick you. What I'm saying is, when you get information like, hey, that's a falling wedge, falling wedges always break out. Hmm, let's be honest here. Unless we were dealing with complete idiots everywhere else, someone else would have also seen that. And guess what? Eventually, enough people, I don't want to get too much into trade theory, but enough people would have thought, everyone's going to see that falling wedge. Maybe I should do the opposite so that I can capitalize on when that fails. It's not like gambling with taking the under. We're talking, if I took a trade because I think it's going up and everyone sees the pattern and the setup, and they all also know that it's going up. Well, someone has to be on the other side of that trade. At what point do they come in? And what do they think? And what do they see? Every side of a trade has its own thought process. Nobody's just taking no one's just the heel. This isn't WWE, right? No one's just taking the other side of the trade so that one side can win. So trust me when I tell you that this whole idea that there are these hard rules, and when you see this, you do this, it's bullshit. Excuse my language. The same way if, you were to go on Twitter and there are these people that, they draw these diagrams and they say, this is what happens and here's how you trade this setup. Oh, it's a setup, all right. And for some of you, it isn't going to happen. You're not going to realize it until later down the line, until you're out there with the money on the line, the game on the line, and you can't perform. Oh, wait, it had nothing to do with you performing in the first place. It's the fact that you made a choice, it didn't work out, and you didn't have the tools in place that I just showed you on this screen to take accountability and do better next time around and forgive yourself if it doesn't go the way you want. See, doing better has nothing to do with circumstances that you can't control, which is another reason I think good and bad trader are arbitrary ideas. Connect that back to what I just said about the water. So, absolutes. Only the things that you are in control over, the things that you can be on the hook for. That sounds like I'm giving you license to make an excuse for yourself. But the truth is, um, if you are not in control of something, instead of looking at it as, hey, I'm going to make excuses now, you should look at it as, I better be careful because I have my money in an environment that I'm not really, I can't control what happens. That already sounds like way too much risk. Now, on to the next thing. So, what is it going to take? I'm going to put this in the notes. The people that are in the, I know those people that are in the group or on the website um, that are here. When you get the roadmap, that's gonna cover it. That's gonna take care of that. But you see what I do on a daily basis. Trading is not about trading every day. Trading sometimes is about getting your head on straight, taking care of the things that you need to take care of around you. Right? There's many different things we could talk about here. That also reminds me, I should also add, because I don't want to forget this part. Trading will never be separate from who you are. You can't live with that. You might as well leave right now. I need you to understand that you're a trader. You're not looking to become a trader and you're not going to trade on the side, yada, yada. That's all nonsense. You are in a market with people who are coked up and obsessively looking to make as much money as possible. Do you really think you can compete on the other side of the screen from those people? No, you cannot. I'm trying to tell you. Now, I'm saying that to you because it doesn't mean you need to obsess over it. Okay. It's just that this whole, I'm going to take some time off. Are you nuts? Come on. You've got to make a case for it. I'm not saying you can't miss a few days, but too many people are comfortable making it a habit or they make it like it's a choice. I think the first thing that any trader should do is make their mind up and say, you know what? Burn the ships. There's no going back. I have to do this. To me, that solves everything else. But that's the rough way of doing it. That's how I did it. I wouldn't recommend that for anybody else unless you got dropped on your head as a kid, or wait, I didn't get dropped on my head, but I'm a little nuts. You know this. Not really. I just like to pretend. But the truth is, I come from a family of servicemen and women in the military, and they're all a little out there. So I've inherited that. Now, I'm telling you this because if you don't burn the ships, you're going to find some reasons to not do it. I'm not telling you to quit your job. What I am saying to you is that in your mind, you need to make up in your mind that you're going to do this. I don't think that needs any additional context. But there's too many people that have, they're one foot in, one out, right? They're one subscription in, and the rest of them's out. Decide who you're going to be. I don't know what it's going to take for each person or individual. Motivation sounds like, it sounds great in the moment, but the true motivation, I promise you, anything that I feel like I've done or I've accomplished something great, I didn't feel like doing it at first. I promise that. Anything I've done that was monumental for me or something where I could say, I'm proud of that, I didn't, I wasn't hyped up and listening to some, Eric Thomas video or Motiversity or whatever. You know what I mean? When do you think let me ask you guys this. What are your biggest accomplishments? When you've accomplished something great, what did it come from? What drove you to accomplish any of those things? Just think about it. Yes, it's willpower. Okay. Now, why would someone need willpower? Perseverance. Why would you need to persevere? Grinding something out. Discipline. These do not sound like fun things. Well, they sound fun to me. But to the average person, these do not sound like fun things. These sound like you're up against something. Yeah, it sounds like there's something in front of you. There's a challenge, there's a task, there's something. But what I'm saying is, some of us are driven by uh, love, right? The love of this, the love of that. But what if I told you everything is fear? The reason when people say, I've mentioned this before, that I don't like to use the word fear in the stock market. You come on, man. You ain't afraid of You guys ain't scared of anything, right? That's not what's going on. Fear is intense. Fear, somebody might say, "Hey, I love winning." But a fear of losing is more dangerous by far. I'm not saying to go so far as to not have control, but I think most of us need to get into this headspace where we can't see what failure looks like, because when you're alone with your thoughts, whether it's, you're analyzing a trade or you're in the trade, you're trying to decide whether to close the trade, whatever. You've got everything else going on around you, all this, multitasking that you have to do. I'm telling you this right now. It needs to be a part of you. This is what I'm saying about the trading can't be separate from who you are. The act of trading is arbitrary in this conversation. This actually goes to anything that you really want to succeed at. You have to look at it and say, I'm not going to fail. It's not possible. And if I get knocked down and it looks like the cards are out, I'm down but not out. And if you think you keep me down, I'd like to see you try. My biggest wins have always come from people doubting me or telling me that I can't do something, which I haven't heard very much because people very quickly find out that I'm willing to go to the ends of the earth to prove to myself that I know myself better than you know me. This is why I don't like people trying to tell other people what they can and can't do, because you don't know them. And this whole world, everyone around you is going to have their opinions on what you should do. Now, if other people are telling you, hey, that's a fire, it's hot, don't go there, well, that's a different story. We're talking about objective things, that's something else. But when it comes to what you can and cannot do, you have to make up your mind ahead of time and say, regardless of the circumstances, I made a decision. Just very rarely have I seen that in trading, in traders. It's just excuses constantly. And you know who your biggest critic is, right? It's you. And you are also your biggest doubter. You are, ironically, the person in control and the person, in the damn way. So when I say you have to make up your mind about this, that's something you're going to figure out for yourself later. Whether it's a matter of you really want to succeed, Let me tell you something. I don't know a single I really don't. I don't know a single trader that loves trading, bro. Let me tell you, if I wasn't getting paid to do it, I wouldn't show up. I would not show up. I do not love trading. I would not look at a chart. I don't care. Period. Okay. So, um, hopefully we understand that. But how can I say that and then say trading will never be separate from who you are? Guess what? It comes back to the acceptance. It's the fact that, hey, I know that in order for me to trade on any level of success over a longer period of time, I have to do these things. I've made it up in my mind where you couldn't convince me of otherwise. It would take someone from the future showing up, and then they would tell me, hey, you don't need to trade um, often or study to be successful, and I still wouldn't believe them. They'd have to take me with them to the future, and then I'd prove all of them wrong. I'm telling you this because, again, these are the foundational pieces that it may not be comfortable to hear, or it may feel like, oh, I got to change my whole framework mentally. Well, yeah, of course you do. Because if you're going to rebuild anything, you got to go to the core, the foundation, the roots. If you build on a shaky foundation, like most people have, or most people do when they first start, you already know what happens from that, right? Like it's impossible to build anything that's long lasting. You might have some wins. You'll lie to yourself for a month. I had a green month. I've seen that before. I had a green month. That's great. And that's a good thing to celebrate. I like that. But I don't like that when you have a red month and then you go sulk like a goddamn child. Pick yourself up off the damn floor and get back to it. But you see, you can't make these kinds of decisions after the fact because once your emotions are involved, it's a wrap for you. This is why, much like Omar from The Wire, a man has to have a code. If you don't code this into who you are, it's a wrap for you. For some of us, though, it's easy enough to just say, hey, I'm going to do what I said I was going to do. That's it. And someone even mentioned that in here. It's, I would say, just like that quote from uh, Blinky Johnson, where he said, commitment is I will stay true to what I said I would do long after the mood that I said it in has left. To me, this is the difference between success and people who are not successful. Successful people can take losses and the narrative can shift and all this other stuff and whatever. But success is really defined by what we want. Eventually, that kind of success becomes the benchmark or at least meets the benchmark for what other people deem successful. Of course, that doesn't pay our bills. No one cares about that really. But if you do care about that, hey, guess what? You want to earn the respect of someone, just try following through on what you said. So, when I say trading will never be separate from who you are, I'm telling you that you need to start thinking of this like you just adopted a child. Unless you're a shitty parent, guess what? You can't leave that child now. That child's around, buddy. You ever had a pet? You have to do what? You have to feed your pet. You have to if you have a dog, you take your dogs on walks. You have to clean up after your pets. You have to bathe them. What you've adopted a sort of like a child. And any amount of neglect is unacceptable. It doesn't matter what you feel like. Guess what? This is the same thing, only rather than you spending money on it, it can bring you money. So when people have pets, I have no understanding of how they feel like they can take days off from trading. It's crazy. You should be thinking about the market in some capacity. This is all going to accelerate your learning curve. So on to the next thing. What's possible? This goes back to the roadmap again, but I think we should set better expectations as traders, right? Okay. So, how about this? How about we'll say, There is no big trade, the big win. If you already, again, we're talking about the foundational pieces. So some of you might feel like, well, I already know this. Do you though? Because people who know that there is no big trade, the big trade is a myth, honestly. You can have a trade that makes money for you for sure, right? However, these are not planned. Anyone who's ever sat there and told me that they've waited to take a big trade or they're going to stack their money and they're going to have the big trade, buddy, listen, that is non-committal language. I hear it all the time. I'm going to let you guys know a little secret. Some of you who have who've been around or have been in the group or who have been a part of my website for a while, you know, like you've been around. I listen to what you guys say. One of my secrets is I hear non-committal language sometimes, and I realize this is one of the reasons why it seems like I might have a sixth sense sometimes, or sometimes I will say or I'll teach something that's needed right before the market does certain thing. The way that I put ideas together, well, you can see that today. The way that I put ideas together really starts with uh, the way, like I said, it's the way the mind works. It's the way my brain works, and many, many, many years of studies on this kind of stuff. But I think that people who have non-committal language say things like that. Like, yeah, I'm going to eventually at the big trade. If this is just for supplemental income, that's fantastic, but you will have no real consistency. And the fact that you even got into something like trading, which is akin to gambling, it's gambling's cousin, right? The fact that you're even doing this tells me that you are prone to falling victim to the gambling mentality later down the line. There is no in between. Either you get good at this or you become a gambler or you quit. That's it. You don't have another choice. You don't have I'm going to be kind of, I'm going to say good at this. I'm talking about mastery of yourself. You don't get to just kind of be okay at this because the gambler in you will always win every time. It might take a break, might go on vacation. I mean, look at all the money it's stolen from you over the years, right? It deserves some time off. And so you might have a week of winnings. You might have a month of winning. You might feel so good about it that it feels like 2021 again. You buy everything. But I'm telling you, you don't have to tell me or admit to me, but some of you, you know that you haven't made that decision to do things the way that you know they should because at the time you thought there was something better. Once again, this is the reason you have to make these decisions ahead of time. On to the next thing. It's not just that there's no big trade. It's the fact that the consecutive small trade, we're going to say eventually, eventually a myth. There is no person who is consistently good at anything willing to get paid the same. If you're good at your job, you eventually expect a what? A raise. This is the one of the most ridiculous, uh, consistently perpetuated lies of trading. I only trade with 1% of my account every time. Every time, kids. And then I met the president. Shut up. That's ridiculous. Every person who develops some consistency is eventually going to become a gambler if they don't get this other stuff through their head first. Now, you guys know I have a solution for this. It's called gratitude. It's called, hey, I shouldn't even be here right now. I'm happy with what happens. Now, I've gone through traumatic experiences to develop that. You want to take a hit of this? I don't think so. So instead, we can make up our minds and say, uh, I am doing something pretty miraculous because this was unheard of a year ago, 2 years ago, however long, right? So That's something you're going to figure out for yourself. But just get rid of this image in your head of a trader who only trades a certain position size every time and they never have these issues. What I'm explaining to you is that you can have a system and your system doesn't mean anything if you don't repair what's going on under the hood, right? You can have a supercharged engine all you want. But when that alternator goes out, buddy, guess what? That car ain't turning on. Not at all. That engine's not flipping over, pal. This is why it's so important to understand from a conceptual level. We can sit here and talk about theories and trades all day. I'm telling you that from a framework level, a structural level, these things have to be done. You have to look at these things this way. I think that anyone who says otherwise is just too ignorant to know any different. Or they've been able to lie to themselves and to you long enough for you to think that they're good at what they do. I've been under the microscope for a very long time. I've placed myself there many times. I don't know of anybody else offering to go on Twitter and live trade and show you their trades live several times, videos, how many hours? This doesn't mean that I'm perfect or I have some talent that other people don't have. What I'm saying is, I've accepted that there's winners, losers. I've accepted that I'm in control of what happens and where I go with it, and that this is going to be the framework. I've decided who I'm going to be, and no one can tell me otherwise. Now, for you, the reason these things are important is because you are in a world full of lies. You're in a world full of different perspectives. You're in a world full of different perspectives that are actually lies disguised as facts, told as truths. That's what a lot of the trading world is. And early on, I would say, hey, just shut all of that down, right? And that brings me to my trading rules. You guys know, or the people that are in the group know that I have a series of trading rules or a list of things that, they work for me. I'm not saying that you have to utilize these things, right? But what I am telling you is for most of us, or for I've taught hundreds of students. I've taught for thousands of hours, literally. See, when I first created the stocks Pilgrim, brand or whatever, I didn't have this much experience. So my focus was a little bit different. My teaching style and what I focus on and how I do it has changed, but it has changed because, well, one, I've grown as a teacher, trader, person, whatever, but I've also experienced more. I've learned more from the students that I teach. I see how people respond to things. I see what they actually do compared to how they respond. And eventually I picked up on this idea that, or not an idea, the realization that people would respond positively to things that ultimately didn't do anything for them. I learned that people who were able to listen and acknowledge that, maybe SP is delivering this in a way I don't want to hear. The people that considered what I was saying, guess what? They're still around. How funny is that? Not because there's anything special with me, but how about the fact that someone who has more experience than you is giving you a perspective and you might want to consider it? When you couple that with being accountable for yourself, it's funny what they've been able to do. That ain't got anything to do with me. I'm just one cog in the machine. Now, these trading rules, some of these are going to, I'm not going to say go over your head, but we're going to talk about the ones that are most relevant to you right now. We've already said giving yourself the freedom to fail, right? And what I'm going to do with this, instead of marking this as self forgiveness or like as it's on page here, we're going to put resetting. Yep, absolutely. Ooh. And forgiveness of self, we'll just have those two linked. So the freedom to fail, of course, you need that. That's being able to say, this doesn't have to go, quote unquote, my way. The second thing, let's start valuing our time more. You say you value your time, right? I just want to hear from you guys. What do you think would make me say that I don't think people value their time? Why do you think I say that? I'd be, I will give someone, uh, I don't know. I'll give you I'll give you $100 if someone can nail it the first time. There's one specific reason that I say I don't think people value their time, especially I don't think traders value their time at all. Like people that are learning to trade, not at all. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with on this one. While we do that, while we go over that, I don't feel like making a video, so I'll show you guys. This is for Trade OS. There are cool things that you guys will see sometime soon. I'm gonna let you guys start voting on different, yeah, voting on different things. But there is something. Here we go. Memory systems and the mnemonic medium. I have like my own little toolbar here, dude. Soon I will give different people different permissions. How can we develop transformative tools for thought? Boy, we're going to talk about memory systems a little bit later. It's something I'm very excited for. But this, you guys will get to see it sometime soon. But that's something that I want you to be aware of today because that's what we're doing, actually. Failure to consistently track their time? Nope, not it. They don't value their time. They don't value others' time? Nope, that's not it for me either. They place no value on their time. Yes, but how? There's a giveaway. There's a giveaway every single time. All it takes is for you to think about that question a little differently. It just shifted a little bit. Getting rid of things that don't bring growth. No, these are all good points, but no, none of these things are it. These are the way that they speak most of the time, right? Like this is the, you know, I think these are all good things, but let's be honest here. Value to each person is going to be different, right? So maybe somebody, like for instance, growth might matter to you, but to someone else, quote unquote, growth could be measured in various different ways, right? Maybe they don't care about growth. Maybe they care about just being happy, and that's their right to choose in their life, right? So that could be value. They don't know how to evaluate their time. They sit around and try to trade every day. These are all great points, but I'll give you guys one more shot at this. I think we got the closest answer though. Sit around and try to trade every day. How many people do we know that if they're not making money, they don't touch the market? Not at all. No study, no nothing. If there's no opportunity there, it's crickets, ghost town. It's a western, right? On the border. They're in a saloon. There's nothing. You can hear someone, the Spurs from down the street on the boots. There's tumbleweeds. Nothing. Look at Twitter right now. It ain't because they're afraid and they're trying to, they don't want to be spooked. That ain't what's going on. Come on, let's be honest here. It's the fact that the opportunity is gone. Now, what I'm saying to you is the reason they don't value their time is because they don't understand that the time that they're putting into something generates something else. It generates experience. It in turn should generate money. It's alchemy. It's a transference. So when they spend their time doing other things, that's fine. That's what they wanted to do. But a person that, says, "Hey, I know what kind of money can be made in the market." They have thrown their hat in the ring. Now you can no longer compare that to whatever the hell else you're doing if you don't make time for this thing. What that says is that you don't believe that you putting effort in to learn is going to yield anything. You believe that the time that you spend ain't really worth much. Now, if I were being a little mean here, I could say those people don't really value themselves or value what they are capable of. They have no anticipation of how they should be growing, what they should be doing, or any of those things. So, to me, what you do with that time says what you think about it. It's the way you treat something. It's the way you treat yourself now, but it's also the way that you spend that time tells us what you think. If you were, I don't know, supreme leader of the galaxy, would you spend your time going to your 9 to 5? Of course not. You would say, excuse me? Why are you speaking to me? Let's be honest here. You would go to your boss tomorrow. Matter of fact, you wouldn't even wait till tomorrow. You'd go to his house right now. Matter of fact, you wouldn't even go to his house. You would summon him to you right now. Snap of the fingers. I quit. And you work for me now. We place self-worth on a lot of different things, actually. We're based it on a lot of different things. But nothing is more evident than how we spend our time, what we think about our capabilities. Now, it's okay if you don't think you're capable. But if you don't think you're capable, I have a question for you. Why the hell are you trading? Why are you putting money in the market if you don't think you can do it? And if you say you think you can do it, why aren't you spending the time to put the effort and the work in and actually commit to what works? If you say you do, why haven't you figured out that you're the person in your way? Come on, man. So, what I'm saying is the reason these lines or these wires get crossed is because what I said at the very beginning, the absolutes, they don't really exist. It's perspective. What I'm telling you is that that perspective is okay, but be honest with yourself about when these things start to become lies. On to the next thing. The consecutive small trade is eventually a myth, but some people are going to ask, well, what is possible? What does a good trader look like? Okay, this is something that we're all going to have to talk about on at different times. But what does a uh, we already answered that. Remember that for yourself. So since I believe that there is no quote unquote good trader objectively, let's say, how does one become profitable? Here's what it's going to take for most people, right? I'm going to give you a bare minimum list. Most traders, they wouldn't, well, actually, I don't know what most traders would do, but let's just say, here's a bare minimum. In the past, I would never have answered this question because I had not had enough time observing new traders or teaching traders that have seen success. I'm not talking about a single good trade either. I'm talking people who have that are in this room that have that have gone to full time trading. I mean, to me, that's crazy. It's not because of what I've taught them. Like, again, that's one piece. If they weren't who they are, they wouldn't have achieved it. If they didn't put the time in, they wouldn't have achieved it. If they weren't at the right place, right time, if they didn't execute when the time was right, they wouldn't have achieved it. If they didn't work to get the money from wherever they got the money from to be able to trade, they wouldn't have achieved it. You see, it's never me saying, hey, I'm responsible for their success, because that's bullshit. That'd be ridiculous. You will always teach yourself more than I teach you. You're with yourself 24/7. You have been since you were born. Right? Let's remember that. So, actually, let's add that. Now, like I said, if you get to a point where, actually, there's probably a better way to phrase it or to frame it. A profitable trader, a good trader, whatever, it's going to look different to different people. But I'm going to give you the what I feel is the bare minimum that you have to achieve or you have to reach. Are you ready? Let's do it. Here's this in let's format it this way. Bare minimum requirements to be a profitable trader. This is already starting off like it's some chat GPT generated article. Actually, before chat GPT, these articles were even worse, right? Like you go to these trading sites and they'll have, here's the top 10 things every trader must know right now. You know what? I should start doing that. Go straight to YouTube, have the thumbnail, you know the one, and oh my God, here's how I made $34,000 in one day. I came and took that dude's money. All right. Bare minimum requirements to be a profitable trader. All right. So, number one, this is going to come as a shocker, but you need to make more money than you put in. Wow. You need to turn a profit. So, let's actually say you need to make more money than you lose. Even though there's a technicality there, but we're not going to address that. You need to make more money than you lose. And for all intents and purposes, let's not say lose. Let's say spend. That's where I could have done this first. Trading is a business. Like one. Any trader who's a hobbyist, I've never seen survive. Any trader who came from 2020 who didn't have a moment where they said, hey, I need to get my stuff together, I've never seen them survive. Anybody who has no regimen as if it were a business, I haven't seen them survive. I don't know where they are. Who knows? They're lost. They're gone. They're not coming. I don't know. Maybe they are coming back. Okay. But trading is a business. You need to treat it like one. This means if you start, we talked about this before in the classes, but what do you got to do when you start a business? I'm not talking about just filings. I'm talking about you got to have an idea, right? You got to have a game plan. You got to know, oh, this is going to cost me a little bit of money. Okay, I'm gonna put some capital up. You don't go to this thinking you're gonna lose money, but you damn sure better be prepared. And if you don't believe that, guess what an LLC is, friend? Okay, so you know that you're taking on this risk, but it's for the potential. But you don't go into business without some business idea, right? Or some way that you're going to accomplish something. So you do need a plan. My advice to you is to stop this aimless, I'm just hanging out phase. That's what's happening, right? So you need to quit hanging out. This actually should go up here. These are just like little notes. Don't be a pedestrian, basically, right? Either you're either going to do this or you're not. The gambler will win. Cannot stress that enough. It might be the most important thing said today. So you need to make more money than you spend. We know that. Okay. But how about this? You got to set some guidelines, a framework, right? I'm not saying that you got to determine, hey, I'm going to trade this at this time, this day. I'm going to get up and do this and do that. I don't do that. But then again, I don't have to do that. There was a time, though, and you guys know it, where there wasn't a single morning that I wasn't on stream. And if it was a Saturday or a Sunday, or not Saturday, if it was a Sunday, I was teaching. I was dialed in, locked in. I should never want to see a computer screen again. But you need a plan. And you should be looking at each individual trade as this is you conducting business. If you start looking at your profit loss sheet on the year, you start looking at like a business, some of you are gonna be like, oh damn, I need to go out of business. Yeah, you do need to go on hiatus. You need to get training. But that's another story. Oh, how about this one? I have another note. These are just all coming to me like one by one now. Losing money as market education is a myth. It's not normal. Stop normalizing it. Paying market tuition, I mean, is absolute BS. You want to pay market tuition? Go learn. Go find a teacher. Go learn from somebody. Okay. Losing money because you're ignorant is stupid. It's not a strategy. The book writes itself. It's not a strategy. You cannot say, "Oh, you just you lose money. This is what happens. This is how it goes." Well, you only think that because you've been losing money. Right? That's not how that goes. Market tuition. Holy shit! If we all had to learn from what are we, cavemen? If we all had to learn from our mistakes before we got anything right, we'd be done. We'd be screwed. Right? Society would cease to exist. It'd be over. Okay. So where do you learn? From other people. Learn from the mistakes of others instead. Sure, you'll have your own experiences, of course, but I can't stress that enough. You should be observing, 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 nosy as hell all the time, just nosy. Not because you want to use someone else's strategy, but because you want to see what happens when they do a certain thing. I'm sure you guys already do this to some extent, but your note taking, I'm sure, could probably use some adjustments. All right, so back to this. You need to make more money than you spend. You need balance. I know this is ironic coming from me, and it sounds hypocritical, but I have uh, I have an all-time gas tank, so I think I'm fine. I don't get burned out. That's just the truth. I get days where I don't feel like it. I don't feel like doing anything. We all do. That's just normal. I was up partying at 5 in the morning. I was kidding. I wasn't partying. I was working, and it wasn't 5 a.m. It was 6. But if you don't have the gas tank for that, you need balance. Why? Because you need longevity. So no, you should not always be on go mode. If that's you, great. You got to know yourself, which I guess maybe we could also put here as one of those things, right? You need balance. So this means those days where you go to the market, you know exactly what I'm talking about too. There are days where you've been looking at that damn screen and you're not learning anything. This brings me to part 2 about valuing time. See, I want something for all the time that I spend. Always. I want something in return. I need to be getting something in return. Unfortunately, some people can only be paid in money, currency, right? But when you spend time with family, they're not paying you. That's what? That's experience. You're getting, they call it what? Quality time. It's something that you get in return. It's that experience, it's the memory. So the same thing, I think, can be said when it comes to going to the market. You should look at the market and say, I'm actually not learning a damn thing right now. Time to do something else immediately. Traders waste so much time by sitting and looking at something they don't understand. Let me tell you, you're not going to figure it out by sitting there and staring at it. And even if you could, it's probably the slowest method of learning it. This is where you go and say, there's got to be a more effective way to get this figured out. That should be your approach to everything. And newsflash, that's exactly how it goes when analyzing the market. You know what I mean? Every single time, if I open a chart, you know how I can look at something and see a setup, and it's like, oh, I see that instantly right there. Cool. Because I've done it a bunch of times. Do you know how many times before that I spent staring at a chart? Do you know how many hours? I don't know. But do you know how long I had to look at these things and think, not quite sure what I'm looking at? Yeah, it was a lot. And eventually that was no longer the case. What I'm telling you is that you have the opportunity to do this thing a lot faster than me, a lot faster, because you have access to tools and resources I don't have, i.e., me, but not younger me who didn't know anything. So you need balance. It's going to give you the longevity. But in order to achieve that, it means that you have to be selective with time in and out of market. Once again, when I say that you can't separate yourself from the trading mentality or you can't separate yourself from being a trader, this is also what I'm talking about. See, people who dive all in at once, they work themselves to the point where they can't do it anymore. And then they need to take a break and they need to reset and they need to, rewind and all this other stuff, right? Like, I just need to get away from it. Well, maybe if you didn't dive in head first with no regard for the other things going on in life, yeah, you wouldn't maybe you wouldn't be here. But people get blinded by I need to make money, I got to do this, I got to do that. Trust me, it will pick you apart. The people that know me, most people that know me will tell you I have a motor. I've always had one. I've always, 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 always. Like, I can run through a wall in the middle of the night. I don't know where it comes from. It's just the fact that I'm excited about things. Now, I translate that into working for, 2 days straight sometimes, right? Like, it is what it is. That's how where my energy goes. But if that's not you, that's fine. The reason I'm telling you this is because even someone like me who has a ton of energy, I'm going to have days where I look at trading and I'm like, I'm straight. I'm good. Yes, and mental toughness is good, but I also think that in the past I've placed a lot of emphasis on mental toughness, and I also want to place emphasis on um, self love and grace. Like I said before, if you don't give yourself grace, if you're not patient with yourself, if you don't allow yourself to make mistakes, you will end up loathing everything you do, and then you will distrust yourself. And when you distrust yourself, you know what happens, right? You begin to resent your decisions and you begin to resent your past self. And then you say, I was so stupid. Why did I do that? And then you sabotage any chance you have of doing anything successfully in the future. I'm telling you from experience. I've been in that position before where I've looked at something, I said, damn, I had a chance and I didn't do this the right way. I still feel like I don't feel like that, but I can still look back at decisions I've made and say, nope, that was not the right way to go. But as I've told you before, do what you can with the information you have at the time. And to adopt or adjust Teddy Roosevelt's quote, the best you can with the information you have at the time. Everything else out of your control, all of it. Eventually, we become unapologetic about the things we can't control. And that, to me, is where the true toughness comes from. It's the inner protection, not just outward. The mental toughness to me is a lot. It's shielding yourself from the outside, but sometimes you need to shield yourself from you. Bare minimum requirements to be a profitable trader. It's a business. Treat it like one. You need to make more money than you spend. I probably should put something that says that's a tongue-in-cheek comment, but you need balance because the balance brings the longevity. When I say balance, once again, I'm not saying there aren't going to be times where you ramp it up, right? It's like a gas pedal. You accelerate sometimes and then you decelerate, right? Like you're gonna pick it up sometimes. Sometimes you're gonna. For me, that's always the spring, right? That's the late winter and spring. From January to March is when I make the majority of my money every year. Well, not man. Let's say January to April. Yeah, something like that. That to me, that's when foot on the gas pedal more so than usual, if you can even imagine that. And I'm trading almost every day. I'm taking trades, or in the past, I would take trades and setups that you know I'm just in the zone. I can roll over and I'm good to go. I don't need time to warm up. I don't need anything. That doesn't have to be your story, but you got to find a balance for yourself, and you need to push yourself once you achieve that balance. And that needs to be the baseline. So much so that when you start to deviate from that baseline, you say, I'm not in the right space, or I'm not performing like I should. The people in the on the site or in the group, you guys have heard me say this phrase, or yeah, I've said this phrase recently. I said I got to get back into trade shape. I know what trade shape looks like for me. So that's our next point, which is understands their baseline and knows what trade shape. Like, to me, trade shape is just a way of saying I'm performing optimally. Like this is where I thrive the best. This is where I'm in the flow of things. I'm in the swing of things. I know what's going on around me. I got a pretty good conversational knowledge of things. That's going to take us to our next point. Our conversational knowledge of the market. We're able to say, yeah, I could talk about, I know where the rates were last, or how the rates were accepted, last month. Yes, like trading in the zone. Yeah, it's like their zone. To me, though, trade shape is more about, or it's not more about, but it's equally about routine, right? So let's go ahead and, I mean, I've missed a couple of opportunities to link these, so let's do it. Trade shape. State where a trader um, performs optimally, or let's just say is prepared to. Yeah. The state where a trader is in a rhythm and routine of preparing to perform optimally, aka being big. That's a good connection. Nice job. So knowing your baseline also means that it takes away your excuses. When you set a baseline, this allows you to kind of understand where you are. I feel like most people just kind of float around. Like you don't know when you performed the best. You only know from a profit perspective. But when were you doing your best work? And I don't mean when were you working the hardest. Sometimes our best work is really being able to say, damn, I didn't do so great right there. And I'm gonna walk it off. Sometimes that's a more pivotal decision than I'm going to go all in and study this right now. That, once again, that goes back to the balance part, right? So, so if you understand your baseline and you know exactly, let's say, where you should be, what's the last thing missing from this list? There's one more thing. There's like one very crucial thing here. Anybody? You need a goal. You need to know what your target six like. What does success look like to you? You know, you got to define that. Define and Shred's right. Define what success means to you, and then that needs to be independent of anyone else. And actually, there's two more things. Yes, I do think it's implied. Yeah, you got to have a plan, like a plan to do whatever it is. But here's something I'm going to tell you guys. To me, there's only one plan in trading. Do you know what it is? We should all have the same plan. The plan is there is no plan. No, it's not. The plan is that we must adapt. I'm going to put that's the best plan. I'm not going to say it's the only plan. Yes, survive, adapt, any of those things. The best plan is the one that allows you to make different decisions or make a judgment call. There's a reason why the best at anything typically improvise somewhere along the line. I don't know of anyone who does anything exceptionally well where they're not called into the heat of the moment. You know why? Because preparation is easy. Or I should, let me rephrase that. Planning things out is easy. Universal preparation is not real, but being mostly prepared is a lot tougher because you have to consider lots of different things. And it means that you have to be or feel like there's uncertainty. And you need to become friends with uncertainty. I've said this before in a different way. Become friends with the unknown. Be comfortable being, I'm not even going to say be comfortable being uncomfortable. That's just a common phrase, or not common. It's a saying that we've heard before. But let's say be comfortable with uncertainty. Uncertainty has like a negative connotation, but it shouldn't. Like if someone asks me, "Hey, is my neighbor going to make all that damn noise later today?" I'd say, "Well, on account of the fact that they've done so since I've lived here, absolutely, I'm certain about that." But if someone says, "What color shirt are they wearing right now?" I'd say, "Well, I'm uncertain. I don't know. It's just a fact. There's nothing wrong with that." Just like the future, what's wrong with the future? Well, why am I attaching something negative to it before it even gets here? So I think that uncertainty is okay. When we do this, naturally our instinct is to find ways to survive because we will plan other scenarios. It doesn't mean obsess over the unknown. It means that I have a foolproof uh, we're going to say foolproof for now. I have a plan no matter what happens. Like I'll give you an example. How can one plan for, let's say you don't want to, you go to trade and the trade could go really well or it could go really poorly. And you have no way of knowing which direction it's going to go, but you think you know. And let's say you're wrong. You didn't plan for that to happen, but how can you prepare for that? One of the things I've said many times in the group is you'll never catch me off guard. You'll never catch me slipping. What do you think those things are? There's only one thing technically, but I'm curious to know what it is that you think you can do to be prepared all the time. I think there's level or layers to it. What's the first layer? To me, the first layer is be well informed, right? So I love the phrase being comfortable with uncertainty. Like this feels like this needs to be a page on its own, honestly. Yeah, I think we're gonna make it a page. Friends with unknown. I love it. To me, the best thing that you could do in this situation, or in order to say, hey, you know what? I'm completely prepared. Actually, before we go there, let me ask you guys, when out of all the times I've streamed, can you point to a single time you've ever heard me upset about a trade or despondent or sad, or is there ever a time you've heard me in a trade where I'm either not laser focused or cracking jokes? Even one time. Literally, yeah, literally never. Not a single time. We're talking hundreds of streams, right? Like not a one. Sometimes I'm not even talking about the trade. This is the to me the true that level of comfort that you want to have. And this is where contingencies come into place. So for me, the way to do that, of course, is number one, be well informed. If you're well informed, you'll feel a little confidence. But guess what? That doesn't do it doesn't cover everything. Sometimes the market is going to it's going to do things that you didn't plan for, right? Yeah, Benzinga's trash. So um, be well informed. The next thing would be we should start we should stop wishing things go our way and be okay uh, visualizing visualize what can go wrong. And to hell with Murphy's Law. It's nonsense. It's witchcraft. It's bullshit. I wouldn't even call it witchcraft. It's something some dude made up, and it's ridiculous. Like, it can be invalidated on an elementary understanding of theory. So visualize what can go wrong, because you need to understand what you're up against here. Okay? Understand what you're up against. It might sound a little scary. No one wants to think about that. I know. But guess what? If you don't, you'll never see the other side of the trade. And let me tell you, this is how you actually get better at, you know, technical analysis, right? You need to start seeing the other side of the trade and have a good understanding of why they're on that side of the trade, right? What do they stand to gain? I mean, if it, excuse me, if it was cut and dry, that once again, this head and shoulders is going to break down for sure, then guess what? Every single person who's ever seen a head and shoulders, because believe it or not, you don't have the all-seeing eye, right? You don't have some special gift from God to identify patterns in a chart. If it was black and white, you know what would happen? Everyone would get on that side of the trade. Everyone would stop trading to the upside. That's not what happens. In fact, about half of all traders do the opposite of what you do at all times. How crazy is that? So they see something that you don't, and you need to get very proficient at understanding their reasoning. Where you can develop an edge is something we're going to discuss later. So, yes, visualize what can go wrong. I also, yes, practice. I think practice is a good one here because with practice is a very hands-on way of visualization, right? But practice means we have strengthened our process. It's not the game, it's not the moment, but it's what we would like to be able to do if the moment arrives. And with practice, I'm going to say this means paper trading. There you go. No, you guys will roll your eyes at that. Some of you. No one likes paper trading. Get over it. Okay. practice. It needs to become second nature. You need to be so good at something that, I mean, I know you guys play video games, dude. Come on. Don't tell me you've never been on, you know, PSN or Xbox talking shit on Call of Duty, and you suck. You got the nerve to talk trash. You're garbage. This is the reality. This is objective truth. You're garbage. And like, let's be real. You can't compete with the best players in the world. So by all rankings, you're trash. So you can sit there and get really good at that to talk garbage, to talk trash to people, but you won't get really freaking good at this. That's nuts. There is something technical that you can learn and get very, very good at. This is where being competitive can be a beneficial thing, I think. So, Friends with the Unknown, the last little bit, well, it's not the last bit, but we'll say contingency plans for your contingency plans. In other words, be Batman. It doesn't matter what you have on Batman. It doesn't matter where you catch him, buddy. It doesn't matter what goes on. He's got a plan for you. And on top of that, that first plan is going to fail because that's how Batman operates. Much like Spider-Man, the first plan doesn't go their way ever. They improvise, and they had something in their back pocket. And if that didn't work, they had something else. And that was just in one part of the utility belt. And then they have Alfred. And then they have the Batmobile that also has tricks within it. It's important that you understand that I'm always thinking about that next step. That is what it truly means to be comfortable with the uncertainty. It's the fact that I've already planned this out. I've already thought through the worst that could happen in that particular scenario. But we haven't included the most important piece to all this. And I'm just going to go for it because I haven't seen it mentioned unless you guys want to take a crack at it. I give you 10 seconds. 10 seconds. I want to know what you guys got. What is it? I know you guys got something. There's one thing. Nah, I ain't gonna make them wait. The one thing is risk management before the trade. Positioning and position sizing, buddy. Listen, I've used this analogy before, but if you were a billionaire, dude, and you had, I don't know, $150 in the market, and the trade suddenly went against you, what do you think you would say? Right? You wouldn't say anything. You would say, you'd say, why is this trade open? That's what you'd actually, you wouldn't even say that. You wouldn't even acknowledge it. Right? So this is something you can do ahead of time. Stop trading with all your money. Stop trading with half your money. Start thinking about what you're here to do. You can't learn in the moment on the big stage if the lights are too bright, right? So it's just like with new players in the league, like in the NBA, with the exception of LeBron James and maybe Luka Doncic, who you can't even really count him, or Trey Young. Most rookies, and nobody has been under the scrutiny that LeBron James had as a rookie. But unless you're LeBron James, there is no way as a rookie you should be going in trying to play 48 minutes in a playoff game starting, and you want the ball in your hands at all times. Are you nuts? Are you kidding me? What are you doing? Right? That stage is too big a stage for you, buddy. It's just the truth. But you know what you can do, though? You can still make those moments count, right? They call this playing garbage minutes. Early on in a player's career, They have two things. They have summer league. Let me do that. They have summer league, and they also have the G League, and they also have garbage minutes. These are three ways you can get experience, right? It is a low risk way of attaining experience. And yes, your difficulties are going to scale with your talent or with your abilities. That's natural, but that's how it's supposed to be. Why are you going up against an opponent when you're outmatched? That doesn't make any sense. And then people say, "Well, I'm not going to learn if I don't yada yada yada." That's a cop out. I just showed you right there. So what do we define those things as? Well, paper trading is one of them. Trading with smaller position size is another one of them. Studying and being in an environment or a community of other people who are similar to where you are in skill can be beneficial, and pushing each other, contributing by saying, hey, here's what I see on the chart. What do you guys think? Going out and trying, that's how you build that. You got to build like a rookie. Because I promise you, if you continue to try and go out there like, it's your prime Kobe, you are toast every single time. You might hit a few shots. You might even win a few games, but I promise you, those stats at the end of the league, you're not getting picked up. You're gonna get waived. So let's remember that. Beginners need to train like beginners, and it's not really your fault because nobody told you this before. And there haven't been resources uh, out there for you guys, with the exception of some stuff here and there, and that stuff's not really helpful because those are just manuals on how to get your ass kicked. That's like somebody giving you a manual right now and saying, "Here's a book on how to be an NBA player." You would say, "Oh, thanks a lot. Doesn't help me worth a damn." That's what these trading books are. Here's how you can be an NBA player. Okay. So we're discussing how you can transition to being an NBA player, and, and discussing how you can also make sure that you don't become Dylan Brooks of the league. All right. Next. The best plan is to be able to adapt, because you can't plan for, like I've said before, you can't plan for everything, but you can be prepared for anything. Right. And that should shake a lot of that fear out of you. Now we're moving on to, it's almost time to wrap this up. We got a couple of things I want to discuss. Very important things. Yep, game winners in 3 steps. Hilarious. Here's how to be an NBA champion. Written by ChatGPT. From a technical level, right? I think I've covered the majority of things that I could say about this. I mean, I've never discussed this kind of stuff in depth because this is what people who are looking to get into the game need to understand. But I've taken 2 hours out of my day to discuss this because you needed to hear it and it needed to be documented somewhere. It's never been done before, apparently. Just nuts. How the hell are we going to dive straight into talking about technical analysis? We're not talking about the person performing the analysis. It's insane. Any like high level job, they do a character assessment, right? They do psyche evals for every single high ranking or a high paying job in this country. Every single one. And why wouldn't you? Right? I don't want some wacko as my CFO. Period. Why? Because the risk is high. So if a Fortune 500 company can see that, why can't we see that about ourselves? Like, you know what? Yeah, I'm prone to do some stupid stuff. I probably should be honest with myself about that and stop doing it. All right. Here's the last couple things that are required. You do need to be able to execute in the moment. You need to be able to execute in the moment over time. I'm just being straight with you right now. There is no easy way to just, yeah, you're going to just pick it up because you observed the whatever. No. If you want to be a day trader, hell no. If you want to trade, you're going to have to make some decisions under the gun, but you can minimize that. As I said before, I think you're sharp enough to pick up on what works and what doesn't and how to get there. And I've taught some people who they didn't exactly graduate from Harvard, okay? That's probably the best way I could put it. All right? I'm going to say that. Yet they can trade circles around many people with followings and rooms and whatever else because they understood what their limitations might have been and they said, "Hey, I'm going to rise to the challenge." And not just one time, I'm going to consistently do so. And until I'm ready, I'm not going to make myself be ready. Now, executing in the moment. I said this today in the chat, right? I said, uh, patterns are the play. Price action is the shot. You could be open, wide open. You get a good look, a clean look. You could do technical analysis until your heart's content. It is not the same thing as taking the shot. And in fact, doing that off of the plan is like simulating the play, right? You ever play those sports games where it's just a simulator? You're not really in control of the shot, right? You're just like, hey, I planned it out, but yeah, didn't quite work. That's fine, but there's a skill element, and we're not going to skip over the skill element in trading. That is something that can be developed, but price action is not the same thing as going and looking at your chart the day before, seeing a setup, or seeing it even in the moment and thinking, "Yep, I know what I'm going to do here." That's absurd, right? So the skill factor is important. That can be developed. There's going to be different levels. It's not something you can rely on by itself either. All these other things, if you don't have them, skill alone, unless you become trade Jesus or something, it ain't going to happen, buddy. There's nothing you can do because you'll eventually lose. Everyone does. Everyone's going to take a loss. Everyone's going to, it doesn't even have to be a mistake. Sometimes the market could just say, hey, buddy, F you, right? That's how it goes. So executing in the moment over time means that you have room to make mistakes. A good trader is not going to be defined by how they perform in 1 month or even the course of 1 year. You got a whole career here that you're trying to map out. Okay. So you got to give yourself that time. And selective acceptance, or let's say selective exposure. I'm going to say selective exposure altogether. This means, hey, I know there are people that I follow on Twitter who they don't know what they're talking about when it comes to trading, but they also don't disrupt anything about what I'm seeing. Like there are other reasons that I might follow them. So you don't have to develop like this mental toughness where nothing anybody says impacts you. But I would highly recommend you going Van Gogh mode for most of this, right? Assume that most people saying anything to you, they're only giving you their side of it, their perspective, and they can only know one side of it on a multi-dimensional plane here, by the way. Even if they knew everything about one plane, it's one view. So, selective exposure. This also applies to trading. What kind of exposure you have in a trade or as the market is doing whatever it's doing. Yeah, you might have money in a trade or, we might want to go trade options one day and you decide, dang, I don't really know what the hell is going on, but I'm safe enough with my analysis of what's happening. And also, I wouldn't be crushed if this trade goes against me, and I'm aware that it might go against me, and I accept that responsibility. If you can do that, you're good. It takes a lot of people a long time to get to that point, though. You got to get to that point, though. So, being selective. This also goes back to the absolutes thing. You're going to be a hypocrite at some point. That's fine, right? There's going to be times where you say, I'm doing this anyway. I don't recommend it unless you really, really know what you're doing, but just prepare yourself that it might not go your way. That will help you brace for impact. Once again, that goes back to the honesty. And even after you brace for impact, you need recoil, right? You need to spring back up into action. And that's where gratitude comes in. Because if we can continue to put things in perspective, you're on the internet right now. You're not in some war torn country with nothing there, right? You're not fighting off insurgents every chance, every time you go outside or go to the well for water. Let's be honest. You've got things to be grateful for. Like, what's that thing called? Oh yeah, you're breathing. You're alive. You're on the internet, dude. Okay, it ain't never that bad. It gets tough. It gets, things get tough. I know that just as well as anybody. Circumstances don't feel fair most of the time. But guess what? Still breathing. I'm here. It's gonna take a lot more than that to take me out. It's also gonna take a lot more than that to get me to complain about the blessings that I have in my life. A lot more than that. Okay. And while I'm not inviting that into my life, the truth is, other people have it tougher than us. So that should help us get rid of any of the whiny, feel sorry for yourself energy. Okay. You're not always going to feel like your best self, and that's fine. That's fine. It's just a feeling. That moment will pass. But we're talking about standards and dignity here. We're talking about reality, allowing ourselves to really understand how bad some other people do have it. And we have an opportunity to make money over the internet from a screen. And not to be funny, but you guys are sitting and listening to somebody who actually gives a damn what happens to you. So mm, I don't think that's any grounds to be complaining about most things, right? You give it 5 seconds of your time and you move on. So selective exposure. And from there, and here's the last piece when it comes to trading, right? This is in the vein of gratitude, but find joy, always have something to look forward to. The biggest mistake that you can make as a trader, I think, right out the gate, I think this is a universal rule, is become a pessimist in any way. I think the moment that happens, nothing goes your way. I'm not saying that once you're already in a trade. I'm talking about when you're studying or making decisions, your brain doesn't function properly, buddy. Not at all. I think if you don't have every single one of these things, you lose every time. I think you lose the game of life. I think you lose as a trader regardless. At this, no way. If you don't have every single one of these things, these are not optional, these are non negotiables. So let's review. Trading is a business, treat it like one. You need to make more money than you spend, haha. You need balance because it brings longevity. You need to be selective with your time in and out of the market. You need to understand what your baseline is and know what trade shape looks like. If you don't know that, we will find that out. Define what success is to you, not to anybody else. The best plan is to be able to adapt. You need to be able to execute in the moment over time. I'm gonna put this in bold because that cannot be overstated. That is the skill portion that most people uh, come to me to learn. that it happens to be something that I'm good at. But I don't want to sugarcoat it and make it sound like, yeah, it's super easy. You're gonna come here and learn from me, and everything's gonna be great. No, it's gonna be tough. Some people are not gonna get it, and they're gonna give up, and then they're gonna get their shit together, and they're gonna come back, and they're gonna figure it out. That's my hope for those people. Some people it's gonna be tougher for than others. Some people are gonna get it, and then other things they don't have down are gonna blindside them. This is a great way to make sure none of that happens to you. Selective exposure, and then find joy. Always have something to look forward to. This is the foundation, the bare minimum for any profitable trader. Bare minimum. Bare minimum. Now, I'm going to add two bonus pieces before we get off of here. Two small things that you can do straight away. Number one, I mean, this falls under selective exposure, but community. Trading is a lonely thing. Okay. If you're someone that's prone to that, it, you're by yourself, dude. You know this. You know you can't talk to your family about trading. Not really. We all have we all have the envious cousins or the uncle who thinks he knows trading. Holy hell, shut the hell up, right? But you don't want to cause trouble at the dinner table. We don't even want to talk about it all the time, but you also know that you've got people who you can't talk to when things aren't going your way. You bottle that up, it's going to manifest itself in other ways. Ask me how I know. So, community is important, but not boneheads and whoever the hell these people are. Like I really don't know. Uh, I'm not saying they're bad at what they do. I'm saying I don't know them. But you got to find a group of people who are going to tell you the truth and also work with you. You don't want people in your camp who don't align with your vision. You know why? It's toxicity. It's when people a while back in my group, some of you might even be here. Um, I removed like 200 people, and I told them I was going to do it. I'm sure they didn't believe that it was going to happen. I told them at the time it was so we had less noise. I know they thought that I meant so less people were chatting in the group chat. Not at all. When I said noise, I meant, hey, I've got to cut this one branch off to save the rest because the way these people think and or operate or just their state of just viewing the chat, never contributing anything or only chiming in when they had a winning trade that they probably got from somebody else. I mean, well, not probably. They definitely got from somebody else. This was poisoning the people who were actually trying. I could see it every single day. I could see it in everything they were doing. That was a tough call, but I stand by that choice. I did the same thing when I had smaller groups in there where there were people who said, I'm in this for the long haul. I'm here. We're brothers, whatever. The moment some shit gets tough because of their doing and their stupid mistakes, all of a sudden it's, I need to take a break, guys. I said, no, you get the fuck out. And I know that looked harsh at the time. Hopefully, the people that were witness to this understood, hey, I did this so you survive because if I don't, this is grayscale, buddy. You don't have much longer to live if we let this slide. So you guys got to decide for yourselves. Where do you go for this kind of thing? I'm sure there's great communities out there. I don't follow other people out there, but even people that you know on Twitter, you only need a small group of buddies, dude. You don't need a whole community. Just some people who understand what you're looking to accomplish, right? This goes for everything in life. This is not just trading. Don't try to solo it. Don't. Trust me on that. Because that brings, let's talk about why. Community, not the show. Not the show. Although that's what it's going to look like here. matters in trading. I'm just going to add two notes to this. You already know what it is. It's accountability. First one. And the next one is proof of concept. Accountability and proof of concept. We need those things, right? We need to be able to say, hey, dude, um, there we go. We need to be able to say, hey, I hope you're doing well, but don't forget what you said you would do. Or don't forget this promise we all made to ourselves, right? Like pick yourself up, dust yourself off, right? You can do this. We need that sometimes. Proof of concept is saying, you know, I thought SP was lying about being able to make this happen, but this dumbass did. I think I can do it too. There you go. There's the confidence you needed. I'm just saying these things matter. Okay. You're not going to get that by sitting in a room by yourself every time. Hey, look, man, I'm trying to, okay. I'm telling you, I see a lot more than I ever say, man. We'll leave that alone. We don't actually need that one. Yeah. All right. So, community is the first one. And then, secondly, you need best in class, say best in class process. Say best in class tools and process. You guys know I'm building something, or I shouldn't say building, it's been completed. This thing that I'm typing. Anyway, you need the right tools for the job, and you need to develop a process that makes sense. And it's not always going to work out right away. You're going to have to tweak some things, do some things, but you need to find somewhere or somebody that can show you the right way of doing things. A process is important because it can be tweaked, and a process is an order of operations. It's a standard that you set for yourself no matter how the wind blows. In fact, it's actually your guiding light when things become uncertain. That process ensures that no matter what's going on, I run a tight ship. I don't do things for no reason, and I don't do things without these checks in place. Process is about having checks in place. This is what keeps you accurate. It's what keeps you consistent. It's what keeps you uniform. Um, it allows you to eradicate the otherwise inconsistent nature of humans, and especially of our mental state when it comes to money. Okay, so process, we need that. Now, in some of the other classes that we do, like next week or next week's lesson, we're gonna dive straight into technical things immediately because I wanted to get this all out the way so that we can deep dive into something else. One of the things that, let's say for a tool, for instance, right? Like, let's have a look at this now. This is how the human mind functions. This is how we store ideas, actually, right? Notice how some of these ideas are linked with others. And when they're linked, we can better uh, visualize and better understand how things are related, right? So if I want to know about um, why community matters in trading, I can see that it's a beginner principle, right, or a foundational principle, but it also is because of accountability. Or if I want to see what emotional discipline is, you can ignore this nice part. That's just me testing the notes out. I know that emotional discipline has a direct correlation with having a trading journal, and also that trading journals can give us patterns and entries, exits, risk management. But I also know from working memory, things that we've discussed recently, that there's different ways of learning those things. And if I wanted to, I could actually go in and tie, let's say the we'll actually go into the knowledge. No, let's not use knowledge base. Actually, no, we can. That's fine. We'll use knowledge base. Here, I can scan through my notes and look at this. Swift, working memory, user friendly. I haven't even connected these. So let's say we'll work with essential. Anything that's essential, anything that matters on a massive level, right? I'll link it. So we talked about essentials. I think this should be linked with the basics, the basic principles, the fundamentals, right? Like this is what we're discussing today. Bam, here you go. So now when I go to my my mental model here, right, or my notes, I should easily be able to say, here, I don't want to click out of it. Actually, yeah, there we go. One of the things I can do is say, all right, if I want to find some relational information or try to understand, maybe why I should be doing these things. Well, now I have a better understanding of, you know, um, what that's caused by or how I can find more information on it, which is here. See, I have these two things linked. I can look at a beginner principle as forgiveness of self, but I also understand that it comes with acceptance, understanding my capability, knowing I should be choosing things that are for me, that there are no real absolutes. And also have a list of things that I could link all these if I wanted to in some way. But I have a list of things that this should be my foundation. As a matter of fact, that's probably a great place um, to leave that and say, yeah, this is actually mostly about foundational things. These are foundational principles that if there were a such thing as an objective truth, this would be it. This would be as close as you can get to one. Actually, we can also go through I think I have unlinked references in the other one. Let's see if we can find it. Yes. Essential. Mental shifting. Huge. We haven't even talked about why people fail at learning or retaining what they study, but it has all to do with these things. I'm going to work on continuing to link the fundamental principles to the theory on how we learn. But I can tell you right now, this is how I've studied for years, and it's how I've been able to rebuild how I think about trading multiple times. So, in other words, it works, buddy. It works a lot. It works a great deal. Any questions before we get out of here? And if your question is, can I can I show you this thing? You got most of you that have access. You're in here. Like just well, you can't use this yet, but soon. See how you can download your notes and you can put them offline if you wanted to. You can go straight to you can go to Notion or you can download the Markdown for Obsidian like I do. See that? And you might not fully realize it right now, but I'm telling you, this is going to change how you learn, how you study, and how you take notes. Like, for instance, we can see how accountability is a part of why community matters in trading, but we also know that accountability can be documented in the trading journals. It's nuts, right? That gives me instant context right there because we're not made to remember things in list format. That's crazy. We're not a robot. We're made to be able to have a brief mental image of said thing and then remember its relational properties as time goes on. That is one of the things that I discussed here, which was in space repetition. Ah, here we go. Space repetition for efficient learning. Just so you know, I'm not just spewing bullshit. I have spent uh, an equal amount of time studying this kind of stuff as I have trading. Like I told you guys, my mom's a mental health professional. I'm someone that I grew up knowing that there was something to the power of the mind, but also, what I didn't know. I was able to see that this is a vast world. I knew it was going to take. I knew this was something I was going to be studying a lot of if I wanted to know anything about it. I just didn't know I was going to be wildly interested in it beyond a certain point, and I didn't know I was going to be able to put this kind of stuff into effect or into practice into the things that I built. So the way that I'm teaching, it's based on or built on these kinds of principles, and of course, my own experience. Next time we'll use the draw function. Right. Well, that concludes it for us today. Uh, Same time next week, and then sometime soon, once I take care of the people that are already in the group, I will start allowing some others into the some of the people that are students here now that are like taking classes consistently. Start allowing some more people into the fold. It isn't, we don't know if it's going to be through the Telegram because we don't know what's going on with that. But as far as the site goes, of course, that you'll see through the Verse the Market channel or page. Yeah, absolutely. Great chatting, and hopefully you guys were able to gain something from this. Sometime in the future, make sure you take some time and just reflect on what it is that you want to achieve, man. I think that's paramount. We don't I don't think we talk about that enough as a community. It's okay to say, you know what, this isn't really what I wanted to do. Like I'm interested in it, but that'll save a lot of people from doing something ridiculous. For people who want to get on a short list for to join, I know you guys have messaged me before. I know, but if you've sent me a DM before about joining the group in some capacity, just message me again. It's honestly a lot to scroll through them. So, and I would rather just not message people who don't need to hear from me anymore. So, just send me a direct message either on Telegram or on Twitter, and I'll make sure that we get back to you at some point in the next, let's say this week. I can commit to this week. Cool. That was awesome. Next week, same time, and trade smart and make trading fun again.